Exit algorithms. Scale smarter. Sell stronger.
Welcome to Exit Algorithms, the podcast where we decode what it really takes to unlock growth, streamline operations, and prepare your business for a high-value exit. I'm your host, Pete Vera, and today I'm joined by Ari Pirutinsky, the founder and CEO of Steady Growth Partners. Ari has managed paid advertising at scale across hundreds of campaigns, built and led marketing at one of the top Google Ads agencies in the country, and now runs his own firm, fixing the problems that kill companies' ad spend. Ari, super excited to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Some of your background, business journey, how you ended up starting your own firm.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So about 10 years ago, I started in the marketing space, and I joined a company. It was called Adventure Media, and I spent a good amount of time there. I spent 7 years working there, really cutting my teeth, learning all things marketing, but primarily paid ads, paid search, paid social. That's what we specialized in at Adventure. And by the time I left, we had built the company so I was the first employee who built it to about 60 full-time employees, 3 offices on the East Coast. And I was running the sales and marketing division within the agency, and it was so much fun because we got to work with really big brands. And starting as the first employee, where we're working with just primarily all small businesses, very low budgets, to building up to the point where I'm standing in front of a conference table pitching Forbes on why they should be using our agency. I mean, that was kind of like a pinch yourself moment where it's like, whoa, they'll just let anyone do this. It was great. It was fun. And at a certain point, I turned around, and it was this kind of like stress point where I was moving farther and farther and farther away from like the end client. And that's where I get a lot of the joy in marketing, in that people services aspect of it. And I decided at a certain point, I was like, this is probably the right time to take a step away and do this on my own and build something in the way that I can live my life the way I want to, and take on the type of clients that we want to work with, and build out the specialty that I think we're very good at, wanted, and I had all the experience behind me to be able to do that at the right time. And that was about 4 years ago now, and here we are. And since then, we've been building up Steady Growth as my agency, and now we're on the Exit Algorithms podcast. So life's good.
Yes, sir. No, that's awesome. Was there any lessons you learned from that you carry forward in now your own business?
Yeah, nobody knows anything and everybody's faking it. And I'm not even kidding. Nobody knows anything and everybody's faking it. And I think it was such a powerful lesson for me, because when I first started out my career, I was timid in the way that I thought everybody knew everything and nobody was faking it. And in the way that people spoke confidently, and the people in positions at big companies that had the titles to know what I thought they should know. And as I got deeper and deeper into working with bigger brands, and as I got to see a lot of variety in the types of businesses that I've worked with, I realized how important it is to understand that there is no one is approving someone to be in the position they're in, other than them just going for it. And that lesson was something that I really took to heart, in the sense of, you can learn to do anything, and you have to find your lane or your niche within whatever it is that you decide to do, and get really good at that, and realize that there is a very straight path for you to be one of the top talents, or top best, or top experts in that avenue, if you really just put your head down and focus on building out that education for yourself. It was mind-blowing in the way that it opened up so many opportunities. It's like, wow, I can really do anything. And it's evident by all the people that I'm speaking to in all these different positions that are just kind of saying yes and reading the book out.
That's a great mindset shift. What's the starting point of your consulting work when you take a new client on?
Yeah, great question. Always at the end, which is the goal. I think the most important aspect to running successful paid ad campaigns is measurement and tracking. So when we start working with a client, or even before that, when we start having conversations with prospects to figure out if they're the right client for us, we always start at goals. Why are we having this conversation? What are we trying to accomplish? What's not working now that you should be working, and what does success look like to you? And it's a real back and forth. We really peel back the layers and push and prod and try to figure out not only what the prospect's goals are when we ask and they give something out over the, off the top of their head, but why? Like, why are those the goals? And we always love to hear when a prospect in a sales call kind of pauses and turns to us and says, no one really asks us these questions, so I don't really have a great answer for them. And that's great, because now you're starting to uncover, well, these clearly were not things that were done previously. Setting up goals the right way, understanding why goals are set the way they are from the client side. And I think it just establishes this foundation of partnership, and this foundation of not being afraid to insert yourself in the client's thinking and strategy and philosophy around what does success actually mean. And it creates that partnership very, very early on. It's similar to any other agency. They're hiring us to do something which is to deliver marketing success, deliver marketing results, new users, efficient acquisition, costs, whatever the goal is. But if we don't have that North Star, we don't have the ability to watch trends and report on how campaigns are producing or how results are moving in the right or wrong direction. So always starting with goals as the entry point for any kind of conversation.
Do you tie it to certain metrics, businesses you work with?
We work with a lot of lead generation brands. So a SaaS brand that is trying to generate new users, but there's a lead process. A new user will get to the landing page or website or app, and either they'll request a demo or start a free trial. And there's this long process between when a user becomes a lead and when a user actually, that lead turns into a sale. And there's so much that goes into the metrics behind all those different steps that we have to understand what tells us what. Are we looking to establish a goal around the cost per lead? Yes and no. It doesn't really mean anything, because the lead doesn't put money in the bank, right? So when you have those conversations and you start talking about, all right, well, there's a certain volume of leads that we feel we need based on our conversion rate in order to generate the volume of new business deals that we're generating. Okay, well, what if in the work that we're doing, building out a landing page for you, analyzing the conversion rate metrics, what if we can tick up the conversion rate by just a drop from a user to a signed demo, or for a new demo to a signed customer? Well, okay, so then the volume of users or leads that turn into a customer increases without us making any change to the cost per acquisition on a demo, or the volume of demos has less of an impact because we're working on the conversion rate. There's a lot of foundational work that is required in deeply understanding any kind of brand's flow that will then impact, where are you paying attention to the work? What are you working on? What's the order of operations in what you have to do in order to hit the goals of the clients in the way that they're thinking about their goals. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of start that conversation, and the goals really are fluid, but I think the most important work that we can do is helping clients understand how the different metrics relate to each other and which ones will have the largest impact, where are the leverage points where you can have the biggest impact, the biggest positive impact by making small tweaks and small changes. So I think a lot of the insights that we bring to clients, and a lot of kind of those aha moments from the client side, is a reshifting or a reshaping of how they view a user journey or a user acquisition journey. So like we're not even talking about ads right now. We're just talking about metrics and how they relate to each other. It matters way less.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes sense you tailor the goal to the business's needs, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of times some of the questions will be like, so what are the results that you're generating for other clients? Which of course, it's important to have case studies, obviously, and it's important for other prospects to look at the previous work that you've done and have credibility to okay, you can generate results. There's challenges that you're able to overcome, interesting, unique ways of designing marketing strategy, but it sets up a lot of wrong questions. I feel that a lot of businesses come to their marketing, whether it's internal, they're running it in-house or they're hiring an agency, but it's what are the results that you can generate for us based on the previous results that you've generated for other clients? And it's so business specific. Along the same lines, you don't want the same results as any other business. You don't, because you have to understand all the different pieces and components that led to whatever outcome happened for that business. Okay, if you're the exact same business model and you're the same size and you have the same resources and you're managing your finances the same way, okay, you can look at another exactly the same brand and say, okay, what are the results that we feel we can get based on benchmarks? Okay, you can have that conversation. But I think, again, it leads to this type of conversation with the client, or that the client needs to have with themselves, which is forget about other brands, forget about what the agency has done in the past. What does success look like for us? How do we get from where we are now, the current state, to our desired state? I think a lot of the work happens at that stage, and a lot of the work happens in building those foundations and building proper conversion tracking and really making sure that all those pieces are in place and not really comparing to other businesses or brands. And yeah.
Is there a common theme or maybe some frameworks or strategies you use or like to see in an effective paid media strategy?
Yeah, so as simple as it sounds, we always want to start at what's easy. So really starting at the bottom of the funnel. And a lot of times the questions you want to try to answer early on is, do we know who we're selling to? And if we do we know where they are? Are they hanging out at conferences that we can go out and talk to and get in front of them? Are they going to Google and searching for similar types of queries that through the context tell us these users are getting close to buying or making a decision? And you start really with, if we know if our users are, and if our users already know about what we're selling, we're not defining a category, it's an existing category, then we start all the way at the very bottom. Let's start to build out benchmark numbers. Let's start to advertise on Google. Let's start to get in front of users in the spaces where we have a high confidence level that this is our ICP, our ideal customer profile. And once we start to see some sort of success across all the pieces that a user is going to touch. So if you start all the way at the bottom of the funnel, you should be getting in front of users that will have the highest conversion rate. And you should be able to look at the landing page, the lead flow process, the funnel that they're going through, any kind of like offline marketing to sales handoff. You can start to plug holes as you then start to move up funnel. So you're starting with where your users are and context that tells you if they're close to or in the decision process for your software, your product, your item, whatever it is. And then you start to move up funnel and say, okay, how do I now get more people into the bottom of the funnel and ready to buy? So now you start looking at display style ads with messaging that matches what gets those bottom of funnel users all the way through the door and actually pulling the trigger on making the purchase. You start moving into remarketing. You start moving toward other more disruptive platforms outside of paid search, like Facebook. You start thinking about how you get into new ad platform opportunities. Reddit has been a platform. Their advertising fundamentals are just crushing it. Advertisers are doing unbelievably well, but there's so few advertisers that are really leveraging the platform. Now ChatGPT ads are in beta as a self-serve. So the function of each one of these platforms fits in with a simple funnel approach strategy. As long as you have that foundation and understand you start at the bottom of the funnel and you work your way up, you then just plug in each one of the different platforms, CTV, the creative that matches the right platform at the right stage of the funnel kind of just flows into each other. And it builds, because if you have success and you're able to redeploy cash from new users that are coming through the door back into the advertising funnel, you just build and build and build and build out until you get to the point where you're Coca-Cola and you're running brand campaigns just so people remember who you are. But that's like direct response, performance advertising. It's not really overly complicated, but I think it's often made more complicated than it has to be.
I'd love to focus a little bit on the creative part. I know a lot of business owners aren't really sure, what the best strategies are. I know, and of course it's going to depend on the business, but do you see any, effective strategies around what type of creative to put out?
Native video. I mean, it just works so well. Credibility focused video, short form, is what generates so much positive movement and so much just like an easy connection with users to brands. And from a creative standpoint, there's so much fatigue. You can't go anywhere online without being bombarded by ads that we almost don't see static image ads anymore. And they serve a purpose. I would say, very often in like a dynamic remarketing, product specific type of environment. But when you talk about display in like as a general question, the way you posed it, there's such a lag in the number of brands that should be leveraging short form creator style videos and brands that are doing it. And I think the difference is the intimidation into the thought of, well, we don't have the resources to do video. Like anyone in your office can just pull up your product and create an ad. And I mean, now with help from many different generative AI platforms, it becomes a no-brainer as what you should be focusing on. And it also provides so much more context to the ad platforms, which are ingesting and understanding the context behind each creative and using it in targeting and using it in trying to expand your audience.
Yeah, love it. No, great insight. Do you see an issue with, how AI is affecting people's content strategies? It seems like there's a growing desire for like authentic, genuine ad copy or, marketing in general.
Yeah, I love it because I think a genuine connection with a brand is what actually gets a sale. And I think that the brands that have never been genuine and don't care to be genuine and just want to sell product, good, bad, whatever it is, are leaning very heavily into using AI to just blast out slop all over the place. And it's doing everyone else a service, and it becomes much easier to be recognized for being authentic. And I feel like there's a lot of brands maybe that take themselves not too seriously, but maybe move a little bit too slow in the way that everything needs to get approved and reapproved and signed off on before it goes out anywhere. And the idea behind that is through every approval process, you lose a little bit of authenticity. You so much better, and it helps differentiate your brand in so many different ways in the consumer's eye than using AI creative. Now, I think the number one use case when you think about creative and leveraging AI is high volume testing. So you want to be able to expand your audience. You want to be able to test creative angles, and with platforms like Facebook ads, the creative lever is one that you have to constantly have your hand on. But I think ultimately the end result and the ads that are going to deliver are going to be those authentic led style videos, campaigns, even in-person activations. We see brands doing this more and more now as well, like in-person activations where you're actually getting in front of the consumer, you're letting them touch your product, you're having conversations with them, you're like removing that digital gap. I feel like a lot of consumers get frustrated by, which is like, your site's confusing. I don't know what I need or what I want. What material is this? Can I just feel this? I know I'm going to order this and then have to return this 3 or 4 times until I get the right size. Or so there's like this frustration, and now added on top of that is like, is that product even real? So more and more and more, that authentic angle is going to win.
How are you guys using AI inside Steady Growth Partners?
For us, the most useful case is how we use it internally, as opposed to using it like outwardly for our clients and deliverables. For us, we use AI to augment our own team on the client level. So every call that we have, every presentation that we give, all of that is ingested by each one of our clients' individual projects within Claude. And all of those are built out into the specific, whether it's the specific industry or the specific output that we're delivering for a client, whether it's paid search, whether it's paid social, whether it's CRM strategy or creative. We're leveraging a lot of what is available to us internally to speed things up, to make sure we're not missing anything. When you use something like Claude Cowork and you're able to just directly tie into the AI note taker that you're using, so that after every call, you're immediately getting, or you're running it daily, you're immediately getting that pull, and it's categorizing it appropriately, it's creating follow-ups. This is all internally, allowing us all to move faster, but also stay on top of everything without a lot of that manual work. It takes so much stress and like disorganization out of how we ultimately deliver to the client, but we always deliver to the client in a human, authentic way, because the client is not hiring us so that we can manage an AI agent that can deliver reporting to them. They want the trust factor and the trust layer of us on top of managing the Claude project. Clients are expecting us to use AI. We don't have to remove the M dashes anymore, guys. Like if we're not using AI to deliver, then we're doing something wrong, and the client should be like questioning, like, hey, are you guys utilizing the tools available to us? But the client wants to know that we are the human knowledge and experience on top, like that layer that we can prompt correctly and we can understand with the right context, and the client then sleeps better knowing my marketing team is leveraging AI in a way that I feel I can now sleep better at night, because okay, that means my company is leveraging AI the way we should be. So that's how we are leveraging the tools internally, but ultimately delivering outputs to our clients in that human, like real deep partnership way. The way in which we develop our client relationships, starting from, like we talked about a little while ago, the beginning of that engagement puts us in a position to not just be a digital marketing agency, a performance marketing agency, but we're really the clients, we're their partner. We go all the way down to the goal on the business outcome level. And when you do that and you're being hired to run marketing, but you understand with real depth how the business and operations works, you're so much more effective, and there's so much more trust between you and the client that you're able to leverage these AI tools, but still remain that trusted partner that the client just feels they wouldn't know what to do without.
I love that mindset around how you're using it, basically allowing your team to do more and less of that, the grunt work that takes away from their job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Experience. I think a lot of agencies overcomplicate services and like operations. I look at these like these interactions between all the tools, and I'm always thinking like this seems so silly. It's just there's so much bloat and like there's so much complication in the way that you're delivering services that it's so easy for things to break and for things to get missed. And I first felt self-conscious. I'm like, why don't I have more use for, you know, automated tasks or, automated connections between the platforms we're using for onboarding? And ultimately, it's just because we keep things very simple. So it's important for sure to be leveraging AI, but don't create complications so that you can solve it for AI, right? There was like a meme going around, which is like one dude in the office used AI to take his, bullets and built like write out a full email and then sent the email out, and the person in the other, office or the client received the email and then asked AI to put it back into bullets, right? To summarize it. And it's like, that's just like what's happening. We're just using it for the purpose of using it. There are obviously very powerful use cases for AI, but it's also a time to like reassess and think about, well, why do I need this so much? Or like, why are my operations so overly complicated? So something to keep in mind for sure.
Definitely love it. Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about a effective strategy, starting out with objectives.
Are we just like creating work, or are we like, is this necessary for the output? And that's a good frame to think through.
What is one practical tip for small business owners who want to get more out of their paid media right now?
If you cannot tie marketing data to business outcomes, then you need to start there. Because if you can't track and attribute the traffic source of where users are coming from, and if you can't follow the user journey from ad click all the way to a new customer, whatever change you're making or whatever optimization or strategy update you're running on a paid ads platform, it's all meaningless because you don't ultimately know what the outcome is, and the ad platform doesn't know how to properly optimize for your individualized outcome. So start there and stop there if you can't answer those questions. I know every case reach out to Steady Growth and my team.
No, well said. Man, this has been a great conversation, Ari. Where can listeners find you and learn more?
Yeah, so you can check me out on LinkedIn, but you can also get to trysteadygrowth.com. Reach out to us. We're also offering a free attribution roadmap. So actually, apropos to your last question, Pete, if you are a business and you're running ads and something's working, but you're not exactly sure what's working, what's not working, reach out. We're happy to give you a free roadmap that tells you exactly where there's a breakdown in attribution, where there's a breakdown in tracking, and how to actually fix that.
Thanks for coming on today, Ari.
Sweet. Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it.
Exit algorithms. Scale smarter. Sell stronger.